welcome to Shimmer Girl Talks. Some of you may be familiar with Boyce Watkins. I don't follow him. I only know of him through other platforms. But he has been in the YouTube streets lately because he's been going after particular content creators like Anton Daniels. And I think that O'Shea Duke Jackson does a great breakdown of Boyce Watkins. I remember hearing about him from Tommy Sotomayor, who is no longer on YouTube. But one thing that I can tell you is I don't like a simp and I don't care for the panderers. Not because I don't think women matter and stuff like that, but because we're not accountable. And I'm going to get into my opinion as soon as I share this clip.
My 2 cents, I would say, well, if you're going to get a man that's going to help you with those 7 kids, you better find you a real man. You better find a man that knows how to hustle. You better find a man that ain't scared of hard work. You better find a man who understands responsibility. You got to find a man who has an investor's mindset where he understands that investing in young people is a good way to protect himself in old age. It's a great contribution to the community. You have to find a man who's got real masculinity. Masculinity is not just smoking a cigar. You see guys run around smoking cigars and growing beards because those beards literally are beards. The beards are fake masculinity used to cover up false masculinity. It covers up their weakness. It covers up their insecurity. So they think that that's masculinity. Drinking liquor, smoking cigars, and growing a beard. That does not make you a man. That does not make you masculine. What makes you a man is having strategic thinking, intelligence. What makes you a man is the ability to work hard for your goals. What makes you a man is being able to compete in the world. What makes you a man is being able to lead properly. What makes you a man is being able to take responsibility for something. That is literally a universal metric of masculinity, even amongst mammals. They measure masculinity by how much territory you can control and how many people you can actually hold down. So a lot of your men are weak. They are the beta to the white man's alpha. They don't know nothing about taking leadership and nothing. All they know how to do is be pleasure seekers. All they know how to do is show up for the sex and dinner and then go home because they don't want responsibility for anything because responsibility scares them. So I'm not saying that every man needs to go and take responsibility for somebody's kids because you may not be qualified for the job. But I am here to say that there are millions of children in the black community. There are millions of kids who, through no fault of their own, have no man that's protecting them. There are millions of children out there. And what is really fascinating to me is how many people will just look at that situation and say, fuck those kids. I just don't understand how you could call yourself pro-black and say to hell with all these little black babies. I don't care nothing about these damn kids. All I care about is my liquor, my weed, and my hoes. That's what you have. You have a lot of little 45-year-old children. They walk around. Whoa! You see the one guy? There was one guy when she said she had 7 kids. He pulled his sunglasses down like, "Oh, I ain't messing with that." And I'm not saying that somebody needs to go. That he needs to go be with her. He shouldn't. He shouldn't try it because he's not qualified. He can't do the job. He's going to fail. But what I am.
Now, what Boyce Watkins is doing, from what I can tell, is he's using sign language and he is very steep in the sisterhood. I can hear sisterhood echo chamber all through his message. Now, I'm going to try to break it down from what I can remember. One thing I think that Boyce is doing is he's coming to the honor of his wife, who was a baby mama or a single mother. I don't know if she was a divorced woman or a never married woman and he wifed her up. But I believe he feels some sort of way because this is what he did. And he's trying to get other young men to follow suit. And I'm going to get to that a little bit later. Another thing is he had it right when he was talking about 45-year-old teenagers and irresponsible men and stuff like that. Here's the thing. A lot of women, this is what people don't want to discuss. A lot of women seek out those types of men. You've heard the saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force him to drink. Women can be standing in front of a decent man. He has no children. He has a good job. He's got a good head on his shoulder. He's going places in life. But to a lot of these women who oftentimes end up as single mothers, the good guy is boring. He's corny. He's safe. He's all of these types of things that she's not interested in until after she's done running the streets, having children by men who did not have her best interest at heart. So if people are watching Boyce Watkins and can't figure out what's people's problem with him, shouldn't men want to step up to the plate and take care of a woman and children? Yes. His wife and his kids that he had with that woman. The issue is a lot of these women are coming off as entitled. Yeah, like the other day I just saw a Kendra G video, and she had a woman on there who had, I think, 3 kids by 3 different men, and Kendra was like trying to talk to her like, you know, how do you expect a man to come in to take care of your children? It's not verbatim. And the woman literally could not comprehend what the problem was. Yeah, I have 3 kids, and that's how a lot of these women come off. Like, yeah, and I have 3 kids. Yeah, and you're going to take care of them. Or if you don't, you're not a real man. So for a man to address other men saying that you're not a real man because you don't want to take care of another man's offspring, you're in a sisterhood, fella. And maybe I'm out of place to be, you know, chiming in on this, because I do try to stick with talking to the women in our community. No one seems to want to tell, but I was telling black women 20 years ago, get married, then have your children. But it was falling on deaf ears even back then. The problem isn't that men don't want to take care of a family. He just don't want to take care of another man's family. That is the problem, especially when you have women being entitled, irresponsible, unaccountable, and worst of all, these women be seeking a small pool of men to get pregnant by. The stats say 54% of black men don't have children. A lot of these women, 32% or something like that, are married to their wives and they have children that way. And then you have another segment of men who are the ones making all of these kids. Then you have these pander bears out here coming along telling men that you're not a man if you don't want to take care of another man's children. That's what I have an issue with. And I had a stepfather. But let me say this. I was going to make a separate video, but I'm going to do it here. The difference between single mothers of today, baby mamas, versus the single mothers of 60 years ago, I used to say 50 years ago, up until just a few days ago, because 50 years ago would have been 1974. And that was like right off the heels of the sexual revolution, Roe versus Wade, free love, and all of that type stuff. So now I'm going 60 years ago. 60 years ago, a single mother, in a lot of cases, and I'm not talking about a divorced woman, I'm talking about a woman that got knocked up. She, 10 times out of 10, was tricked out of her panties. The man told her, I love you, and I believe you, and next thing you know, they're in the backseat of a car or wherever, or Makeout Mountain or whatever, and she's pregnant and her family has to ship her down south. That woman is different from the women of today, who before maybe she had her first child, she had 10 partners, then she got pregnant, and she don't want to marry that guy, or he doesn't want to marry her, and then between all of that, she's got a lot of sexual partners, maybe baby deletions. Y'all see, I rarely talk about that on my channel because that's not my go-to thing, because that's not part of my heart. You know, I don't agree with that as an option. but that it is what it is. So when you hear these men that like to pander to women, yeah, y'all need a real man. A real woman would have picked a real man before she and would have required marriage before she became a mother. This is where all of this confusion is coming from. If other race women was doing what a lot of women in our community was doing, their men would be doing them the exact same way. Marry you for what? You had kids with Tom, Dick, and Harry, knowing that he was a meth head, knowing he lived in a trailer park, but because he had muscles and swag, you got on your back. If, believe me, men follow how women are. And I used to say this years ago, if women up their standards, and by standards, I mean ring before womb, protect your womb, marry before you carry, so much of this would change. So I wholeheartedly, well, I shouldn't say wholeheartedly, because I did agree with Boyce when he was saying, you know, these 45-year-old teenagers out here. He was talking about the Pookies and the Ray Rays, and that's something else that I wanted to say real quick. Boyce to me was like he was lumping all black men together, or maybe all men together, as being these Pookie Ray Ray types. All of these men are not out here creating these babies like Pookie and Ray Ray. And a lot of these women are going after the Pookie and the Ray Rays because of the swag, because of the Hellcat that he drives, because his pants are halfway off his butt, he's got a little bit of edge to him. That's who these women are running to get on their back. And then when they're done, now they want a Russell Wilson. That is the problem. So I don't know if people are being obtuse on purpose, or you really don't understand why men are saying, I don't have to take care of another man's children. Now, for the men who want to mentor, that's their prerogative. But a man does not have to go marry a single mother when a lot of times that single mother is still dabbling with the baby daddy. That's something that y'all don't want to talk about. That single mother has a little placeholder while she's waiting for some simp to come in and rescue her. Y'all don't want to talk about that either. Watch Kendra G. You don't have to take my word for it. Watch Kendra G. You don't have to. I'm just saying. She has a lot of women on there who has a kid, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, up to 7, 8. I've seen it. And they still have a sneaky link, all the while waiting for their knight in shining armor. This is where people have an issue. So that was my topic for today. I think this is probably one of the longest videos I've ever done. But tell me what you think about what Boyce Watkins is saying. And I didn't want to drag any other pander bears into this. Y'all know I've talked about the pander bears before. But that was my topic for today. Chime in below, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.